Shalom, Kol Halalim La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone, and a hearty shalom to the prophets of the body, and shalom to the 144,000 and one third. May peace and blessings and the spirit of endurance be upon you and your households as we approach the end. You know, our elders, apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and double honors to the apostles and elders again, of Great Millstone, that rule well. Talk about exercise, eating the right foods, herbs, Elder Apostle Tahar, Elder Apostle Gabar, Elder Apostle Ramblab, Elder Apostle Rakar, they all talk about various things regarding diet, exercise, as well as the other prophets too, that are involved in boxing or martial arts, or, that are quite, you know, uh, active people, so to speak, active jakes, and the benefits of it. And as you can see, even Elder Apostle Tahar, which was a beautiful thing. The elder guy said that, what I think it was lesson a few weeks ago. He said that he's back to his high school weight, and that's a beautiful thing. Elder Apostle Gabar's lost a lot of weight as well. As you know, with stresses of this world and constantly busy, sometimes you don't even get time to take care of yourself. So obviously, there's always a fluctuation with weight and what you're eating and drinking and convenience and things of that nature, which pretty much affects everybody across the board. Especially Jakes that are in this hell, this captivity, right? We eating our bread and meat defiled, where the Lord will send us, loosely paraphrasing a scripture there. But what we can do is, we eat our bread. It's like we were eating our bread and meat defiled, as the Lord did mention in the scriptures, loosely paraphrasing. But what we can do is, if the term is correct, to take the lesser of two. Well, put it this way: you take out of the situations that we have in front of us. Instead of buying food from outside, you can buy the raw meat and cook it yourself, or you can buy the fish and cook it yourself. Lawful fish, lawful meats, that are mentioned in the Levitical law, right? Like chicken, turkey, beef, lamb. That's all good, right? Tuna, cod, right? That's all good, you know. Um, eating fish with the fins and scales, right? Taking the fat off chicken. And incidentally, being an Israelite foreigner in the culture that I grew up being an Israelite foreigner, right? We've always had a culture where the Israelite foreigner Jakes here in London, they always take the skin off the chicken. There is no fat on the chicken, period. We don't cook as Jakes with fat. We don't have fat. We don't have skin fat of the chicken on there. That's always been a thing since the get-go. And I'm almost, well, I'm in my late 40s, early 50s now. So, that's how I've seen my parents always cook. Um, you know, and these small things, can turn things around greatly. For example, I'm a beer drinker. I love to drink beer. I haven't drank beer for like 2-3 months, and it helps. And just making a few little changes, you start losing fat. I lost down there probably like probably about 12 to 15 pounds, just doing a few minor changes. These small changes. It doesn't mean that you can't drink, but you drink in moderation, right? I mean, you can get nice, as long as you're sitting at home. I'm saying all that to say this is that moderation and tweaking your diet, taking herbs, your ginger. I mean, the culture that I grew up being from the east and all, northern India, the Punjab area, right? We have a lot of spices and herbs, turmeric, ginger, garlic in every single dish that my mother made growing up. Everything, the flatbread, which is a staple food of Jake anyway. Which is very flatbread is what northern Jakes from northern India eat anyway, every day. You know what I mean? Fried flatbread, plain flatbread, and then with that, just like Northern Kingdom Jakes, Latin Jakes have is it tortillas? They wrap it up, put different flavors in there. They put mincemeat, lamb, and that. We have the same thing. So these kind of vibrations of our food are in wherever we've been scattered, pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, verse 64, that same vibration of our food is still there in terms of flatbreads and rotis and things like that, which Benjamin eat too. So, tweaking your diet, staying off the processed foods, cutting down on your drink, ultimately, gives you the diabetes or beaties or whatever, right? With certain liquors, you got to calm down on that, you know. Even though we were going through hell and sometimes you need a stress reliever, you do need the odd shot here and there. It's justified, but there is a time and place, and sometimes you need to have a good clear out of your system for a couple of weeks before you start indulging here and there with a couple of beers. But for the most part, to keep a body healthy, you got to keep moving. Okay, just like static water. If water, right, stops moving, what happens? You get flies and bugs and all sorts of other shit on top of it, right? And it's not a pretty sight. Okay, those of as children, as you sort of explore the streets and alleyways and canals. I'm talking about the UK right now, right? The canals and your neighborhood. Especially in the world that I grew up in the 80s, where it was a lot more freedom for children to run around, hopping over fences and shit, you know, and running into fields and all that other. You would see these kind of things. You would see static water. You would see water not flowing. You would see the chemicals and the pesticides and this, that, and the third. But even so-called clean water, if it's not flowing, what happens? Bugs go on it. Now I chucked in the search engine, right? When a river stops flowing, it becomes stagnant or sluggish. What I put in it? All right, it's a simple question. I just wanted to see what the AI mode gives me. What happens if a river stops flowing? Does it stay clean? Does water stay clean, or does it get flies and other bugs on top of it? And the answer was, when a river stops flowing, it becomes stagnant and does not stay clean. Standing water quickly loses oxygen and changes the local ecosystem. Just like your body, right? You don't move, you don't exercise, your body becomes stiff, your body becomes stagnant, your body becomes um, you lose oxygen quickly yourself. You're out of breath just by doing sudden movements because you're not used to it. It's like someone that used to lift weights was in shape, say 15 years ago, and then 15 years later said, "Oh, I've still got my strength, I've still got some of my size," but he's really all fat and husky now, right? But he's still 220 pounds, and he's still and he goes to bench. I don't know. Let's just say two. Let's just say he wants to bench 185 or 200 pounds or whatever, right? And then he can't do it. And if he does manage to do 2 reps or maybe 3 reps, and he does that, taking, plenty of breaks in between, the next day his arms are going to ache, and he might not be able to train for about a week, or he might not be able to lift it because your body is not used to it. And even if you work out 2-3 times a week, it's all beneficial. You might think, oh, half an hour walk is not going to do nothing to you. It all helps. Okay. It all helps. Whatever level. Listen, if you see someone like Michael J. White or some other kind of martial artist or person that does exercises or boxing, whatever you're into, right, working out, you don't have to be on their level. You just be the level that you just be within your particular realm, what the Lord has blessed you. All right. If you're up in age, just go walking, go light jogging. If you want to lift weights, you don't have to lift heavy bench. Every person doesn't want to be a huge bodybuilder. You can just do push-ups. You can do push-ups on your knees like some women do. Okay, if you're slightly older up in age, right? You can do light weights, right? You can just simply walk. You can tweak your diet. You can have your sort of treat once a week. If you like eating carrot cake, if you like eating a Victoria sponge or some kind of chocolate gao as a treat once a week, and there's nothing wrong with having a bit of cake now and again, man. Nothing wrong with that. Now and again, I'm talking about, right? Once a week, it's a Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon, or you want to have it with your tea, and you're watching a particular show or whatever, ain't nothing wrong with having that, but you do that once a week, like a cheat day type thing, right? And then you got the rest of the week to cleanse your body out, drinking plenty of water, okay? So all that's within you is always pushed out through urinating and through obviously bowel movements as well, because the water cleanses the inside. The way you wash your body on the outside, like showering once or twice a day, you wash your body on the inside, hence drinking a lot of water. Now, if you listen to Apostle Tahar when he's making a lesson, what is he doing? He's drinking his water. He's taking his herbs, his medication. He's constantly doing it. Hence the reason why you know. And the elders, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemashah, the elders in great health. He goes walking, and so the other elders go, biking, you know. They're constantly moving. Hence the reason why they look great. All right, and we need to take what's the term? Take a leaf out of their book. However the term goes, we need to take let's say we follow by example, right? We follow by example. All right. You don't have to run 20 miles like some super athlete. All right. You just do what you got to do to improve your health. And as time goes by, you're going to get better and better and better and better. Right. You're going to get there. But it all starts with small baby steps. It all starts there. Okay. I'm going to go to some scriptures in a second. One second. One second. Let me go to scripture right now, as a matter of fact. Salakia. First Timothy 4:8. For bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come. All right. The Most High emphasizes that, that, okay, you got this body, it profits you little, but it's mainly the spirit. Okay. Okay. And being godly, where you got more benefits out of that, right? Okay, there's more benefit. It's more beneficial having that godliness spirit. All right, but bodily exercise profits little, right? But it does profit. Okay, because the saying, uh, most martial artists would use is mind, body, and spirit. All right, because if you know, right? Sometimes you feel clogged up, and when you have a good workout, right, you feel lighter, you feel better, you feel like you accomplished something, all right, and that affects your body, and then in turn affects your skin, all right. Your collagen is pumping in your skin again. Your skin looks a little bit better, right? You feel a little bit slimmer. You look a little bit slimmer on the face. You get some of that jawline back, right? You feel better, and everything that is that gives you benefits, especially in this world, when especially the right thing, when you do it and you accomplish it, it's a great feeling. Sitting on your backside, right, getting jealous of people that that look good, or get a lot of women, or they're in great shape, just hating on them, right? That's what a lot of people do. They get jealous of somebody that looks good. All right, instead of sitting on your fat backside not doing nothing, right, and then feeling like crap, why do you get up and move around? Okay. You know, I myself had the time, certain times at points in my younger age when I was a child, you were slightly heavy set. And as you start losing fat, as you get older and the puppy fat goes and you start getting leaner and taller and everything, you feel better about yourself. And then you get to the point where you're actually addicted to exercise. See, I've got to do my workout in the morning. If I don't, I'm not going to feel right. If I'm not feeling right, I can't eat right. You know, it's like with me personally, you got to work out. All right. If I don't work out, I don't feel like eating, because then I feel like I'm not, because after exercise, you want to reward your body with nutrients and something that you enjoy. It could be a couple of scrambled eggs with some nice toast. It could be a bagel toasted. It could be whatever you like, right? That's how you benefit yourself. So bodily exercise is necessary, mind, body, and spirit. Okay. That exercise it affects your body, makes you feel good about yourself, and you look better overall. And with the spiritual side, until you don't pray in the morning, you don't feel right. Until you don't do any reading or make a lesson or whatever, you don't feel right. As soon as you do these things, it's like a spiritual button that's clicked in your system, and then it's like this weight lifted off your shoulders, and you feel better about yourself. Okay. Okay. And these things that to accomplish something, sometimes you have to give up a lot as well, a lot of the bad habits. And sometimes, like, it's like getting out of bed early in the morning, right? Like my brother always says one thing to me, growing up, he goes, make it easy on yourself, just get up earlier. And then when you get up late, oh, I want to sleep half an hour more, and then you sleep about half an hour more. Then you're late. Then you're rushing around, brushing your teeth, jumping in the shower, 2 second, 2 minute shower, just rushing out the door. If you just get up that hour earlier, you can take your time. You can do your prayers. You can grab a quick coffee, brush. Brush your teeth. Brush your teeth and wash your face. Do your prayers. Have your coffee. Shower up. You know, and put your clothes on and do what you got to do. Right? You do everything properly. It's hard, but once you get going, everything falls into place. So 1 Timothy 4:8, for bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that now is and of that which is to come. Right? And obviously you got to avoid gluttony, overeating, which is hard because we Jakes like to eat. But then once you get into the rhythm of it, you're usually okay. They usually say it takes about 3 weeks to get into a decent eating habits. The first couple of weeks is hard. Then by week 3, as you start seeing weight fall off you, like even Elder Uriah of GMS Chicago, as you can see, the elder's in shape. I believe he does jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And he said that also many, 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 many months ago, I believe it was, yeah. He said that when I changed my diet, the weight just started to fall off. And the elder wasn't heavy anyway. I mean, he was pretty husky. He looked like a kind of, he looked strong, but he's leaned out now because I believe many, many, many years ago from his old lessons, he said he was about 30 pounds overweight. And this is probably like from 2014, old lessons if you can find them, when the elder had braids. Elder Uriah. Okay, if you can find those videos of GMS Chicago. And, the weight started falling off, and the elder eats a lot of salads and things like that and grows his own vegetables. He's made those changes, okay? And it all comes together, mind, body, and spirit, all right? You think pure thoughts. You rebuke Satan in the name of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai, because the Lord's giving you that password to rebuke, okay? And the elect shall praise his holy name, right? Loosely paraphrasing the scripture. You got the mind part, you got the spirit part taken care of in terms of praying to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai, right? Praying, fasting, cleaning out your internals, your temple, right? And then you got the outside part taken care of as well with exercise. So mind, body, and spirit, all in conjunction, all in unison, bring you together into a better Israelite. All right. Even though this is about the spirit, and we are going to get rid of these bodies, but just because the Lord's going to give you a new body doesn't mean that you don't take care of the estate Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai has given you. You got 2 eyes that you can see, you got hands that you can eat and drink, you can wash yourself, you can walk, you can run, right? You take care of that state. You don't abuse what Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai has given you, all right? You be thankful, all right? So let's get some more scriptures and I'm going to finish up because read 1 Timothy's. Just bear with me. I think 1 or 2 more scriptures should do it. And also switching up. I made a video the other day that part of what was the term? What was the video that I made the other day? 1 second, I got the title here. 1 second. Oh yeah, the dross. Losing friends is part of losing friends is part of getting rid of the dross, especially when you're in this truth. You're not going to hang around with people that smoke blunts all the time, that are in the world, that want to chase married women, that don't really give a shit, that whether a woman's taken or not. Because I've had plenty of people that I've known in the past, that have said, I've always asked, like, for example, like one of my friends used to do security work in a store, and it was a really cute, really, 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 really super fine, really fine looking woman, at the till. And I said to my friend, I said, listen, Jake, I said, listen, what's the story with her? I said, she got a man? And he goes, yeah, she does, but so what? When he made that comment, I looked at him and I said, okay, I said, that's crazy. You got to get rid of people like that, man. They may be cool, they may be okay with you, but people like that, you don't really want to roll with when you're in the truth. You might say, hello to them now and again, You might give a little head nod now and again, but for the most part, you stay away from people like that, man. You try and change your ways. Doesn't mean you got to be mean to people. You just, because as time goes by, and if you're part of the Lord's sheep, the Lord will eventually, through the Spirit, you'll just part ways with individuals like that. Eventually, then as time goes by, you won't be acknowledging each other. You'll be like strangers, and that's happened. All right, let's go to Proverbs 23 and 21. Um, where is it? Let's go right to the top. All right, Proverbs 23 and 20. All right, GNT. Don't associate with people who drink too much wine or stuff themselves with food. That's the GNT, right? And here's the Proverbs 23 and 20 in the NIV. Let's go there. Do not join those who drink too much wine or gorge themselves on meat. Overeating is a problem as well, because when you overeat, what happens? You stretch yourself. Hence the reason why you got stretch marks, why you got that triple chin. You got to eat within a particular comfort level where you feel good about yourself, you don't stretch yourself, and the food just sinks into your body where you just absorb it quickly, where you feel nice and lean. That's why a lot of bodybuilders and martial artists that are in great shape eat a lot, within reason, of course, but they break up their meals. That's why they have 5, 6, 7 meals a day, but they have small portions. So your body is in constant anabolic growth in terms of, especially if you lift weights, you want to constantly feed it with the right nutrients so it can grow and tighten up and shape up. If you look at some of the brothers from the GMS Chicago camps, so you see some of the brothers are in great shape. Weightlifters, martial artists, all sorts. All right. NIV. I know I'm all over the place with different types of information, but I'm just going with what I've seen and the things that I've experienced. But bodily exercise definitely helps, man, because I'm talking because I've always been a husky or a chubby child, right? Uh, let's go to the King James version. Be not among wine bibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. Obviously it doesn't mean you don't have to cut off everybody like that eat and drink, but that are just they're somewhat decent jakes. They just work, take care of their families, but that they like to have the odd tandoori chicken or naan bread, or they like to go and go and have the odd steak, and they like to drink a bottle of wine or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that, but that it means just balance yourself out, everything in moderation. All right, you can have your cheat days, but everything in moderation. But then on top of that, you must move. Okay, all right. Just like a car, just like a vehicle, right? It needs fuel to move, right? Okay, you having all that fuel, eating all that food, but you're not moving, and what happens? You get fat, right? So you must move as well. Along with the input, there has to be plenty of output. All right. So bodily exercise is beneficial, but it's not the be all. It's not everything. Okay. It's all about the spirit. It's all about, you know, um, improving your mind and soul, but it's also about your body as well. Mind, body, and spirit move in conjunction and unison together, man. All right, to benefit you. All right. So bodily exercise is necessary. All right, but it's not everything. All right, we don't put everything into that, but it's definitely a necessity, especially with the hellish conditions that Jacob is in and the kind of food that we're given. So watch your bread and meat, and also put in some exercise and take care of yourself as well. You know, let's see if there's anything else I can get in terms of scriptures. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 10:31. 1 second. One last scripture. 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever Salakia. Whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of the Most High, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? You do everything, you know, as best as you can, you know. Try and mimic the diet that we used to have in the ancient world, which is going to be hard on this side. Okay? But, the Mediterranean diet, the spices from the Northern Indian diet, uh, bits and bobs of the different healthy foods that Jake eats around the world, right? Um, all everything fried and all that unclean food that our people eat, the pig and all that, that's just disgusting. Just watch your bread and meat and bodily exercise. Bodily exercise profits little, but it definitely profits. Okay, movement is key. All right, remember static water that doesn't move anymore, all right, becomes unclean. All right, a river needs to flow. A body needs to move. Movement is health. Movement is exercise. Okay? I'm going to leave it there now. All praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yashai, Bashem Rakak Kodash, Mawatha Bad Babal, Kwam Yashrala Shalom.